doing these live streams um, Monday to Friday, 5 days a week. Sometimes you're gonna see us streaming from maybe slightly unusual locations or different locations because you know we move about, other things are happening, but we're always going to prioritize going live at a certain point in time in the evening and doing these live streams, giving you a little glimpse into what is going on around the news and social media from our perspectives, and also what's going on in our day-to-day lives, so to speak. So I'm the only one who's geographically on the move today, as you can see. If you're non-UK based, you might get up of South London. For those of you who are in the States and other parts of the globe, so anywhere you see in my background is going to be parts of South London or Southeast London, should we say, as the case might be. And Daniel's over there in Daniel. Are you in the north? Yeah, Daniel's over in the north. I'm generally based in southwest, but today I'm moving about south for the next for the probably most of this live stream. So you're getting a little for those of you who are non-UK based, getting a little, shall we say, touristic type sightseeing tour in the background. Anyway, without no further ado, Daniel, um, what are we coming in with today in terms of our talking points? What would you say is the key subject you wanna put on the table to start this stream?
Well, we're just keeping it real, man. We're just keeping it real, We would just we're just talking generally, just talk
Hmm.
generally at the end of the day. Um,
Hmm.
so, you know, we could talk about, basically, how we met, what we did, um, and
Well, we
of
might not
our
have
music.
time for that. We might be able to give a little preview. Yeah, we might be able to give a preview. We'll have time to go far into that.
Of course, bro. We can't go into no deep thing, but we can still talk very lightly on it,
Agreed, agreed.
because at the end of the day, we're it's good to give a little bit of background, and so we can just do some of that. So, where's the first place that we met?
Election our paths crossed. So I in the late 80s I decided to pick up the bass for about a year on the electric bass, and I discovered the upright bass. So both of those instruments became my primary instruments, and I for whatever strange notion thought of myself as entering the music industry. So against all odds, some would say, because I was a bit of a late start. I was getting up there in the years, despite the fact that I was still a teenager. I was being told that, yeah, you've left it a little bit late, but that didn't deter me. So I went in full throated, as they would say. I would say 10 toes down, and entered the music industry. Joined bands and started to play music. Now there is a particular jam session in East London that's been running for generations, decades. I'm referring to Alan Ricks, Daniel, and I think that's where I first ran into Daniel Louis on playing the pan. Was at one of Alan Ricks's jams, and back then they used to be you'd go to one jam in the early evening and probably leave there and go to another late night jam, and you'll be out till sort of mid early hours, with the ability to go to jam sessions and get up and do your thing. It's not there's jam session traditions never ended, but it's not as prevalent now. I don't think they're as common, the late night jams particularly. So that's where I came across Daniel um, as a pan player. Was at one of I think Alan Ricks's jams, which is still running now. 3 odd decades later, he's still doing a jam at the Haggerston, I think. Back then it was Uncle Sam's. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's where
yeah,
we become from.
that one was called the Orchids. Yeah,
Okay,
Orchids wine bar. And yeah,
okay,
I mean, look at the amount of people and things that passed through that place, man, was something
yeah,
else.
history.
Um,
There's a few legends who passed through
there's
those
a lot,
spaces.
quite a few. Yeah, yeah. I tell you one, oh God, what's her name again? Oh, Sugar. She's an American singer, and she Oh, I could see her face. She sings really, she
Not
sings really
someone I work with.
slow jazz. She sings ballads, pure
Oh,
ballads.
I wonder who that
What's her
is.
name?
Oh,
What's
by
her
the way,
name?
this is Crystal Palace behind me, the legendary Crystal Palace. That's where in the Victorian era I think they built some glass construction for the Expo, isn't it? Victoria's husband, and it really the height of the British Empire. It put Britain on the map, but you can't see it now. But that's the legendary Crystal Palace with that big thing. If I can just aim it, you'll see they've got the what is it, like some kind of antenna that you can see right across certain parts of London. There it is, the thing with the red lights. And this is Crystal Palace. So anyway, back to you, Daniel. You're talking about the orchids and the
Name.
finger.
So the name slips me. She was a very very big figure in that anyway, and she sang. She came over to London to do some gigs, and she sang. She came down to the jam session because that jam session was known to be a place to go to, and lots of jazz musicians would come and actually take part in a jam session after they've done their main gig. You know, they'd come down and play and perform in jam sessions around whichever country that they were in. So it was also a bit like paying some respects to up and coming musicians because you know it's a really you know I mean the venues were not close. You know, you find a place in London and you just go and head to it, you know, and some people get a chance to play with top musicians and stuff like that, top artists. So yeah, we were there and lots of people passed through that place, and yeah, that's where we met because it was it was late night, and you know you go down some stairs. It's all shady. When you get down to the bottom, it opens out into a club, and the musicians we packed in there. Yeah, if that's possibly the first place that we met. Yeah, yeah, and it was really
Patrice. That's where I remember. I think I met him for the first time. He moved to America, isn't it? We established himself in the States. Great electric.
back some memories when you said
Yeah,
that,
I remember those
Patrice.
people. 'Cause they used to inspire me. I'd go to these gigs, and even if I don't get up, I'd just sit down and I'll be watching the rhythm section players or the bass players' hands all night, and that's how I learned a lot from just visuals and listening, as many of us did. So yeah, and then I think we went on to you booked me for on a Sunday session at one of those East London um, Afro Caribbean pubs because I remember we'll be playing around midnight or something, and you'll just hear blap 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 and somebody screaming out. It'd be the Dominoes players, isn't it? And we're like, we're trying to play music here, and they're over the other side having their Dominoes tournament,
Yeah,
very loud as well.
yeah, I got us a
Oh
gig
man,
at that place,
I'll
and
forget those.
you know you'd be there, you were there playing. Oh my gosh, can you
That's
remember who
right.
else was on? Who what
It
the other
was
musicians were?
Maurice and maybe
Maurice,
Andrea on drums. I'm not sure.
sometimes Andrea,
Sometimes Andrea,
sometimes
Andrea Trillo.
we used a few I used a
A
few
few
people,
people.
different
Yeah, you
people.
rotated the drummers particularly.
Mm. But
Yeah,
we
they were
yeah,
interesting
so
times.
we cut our teeth and stuff like that doing gigs, you know. I mean, it's just about really putting yourself out and just getting people and getting the right people come in.
Yeah,
And you know, we used to get, you know, we got little to no money for the
Th-
gigs, but
yeah,
it
that
was
was
just about
the case.
really
And
enjoying
playing,
the
getting to
gigging,
play. Yeah,
getting to play the jazz standards, which is all part of cutting your teeth as well. Um, and yeah, just getting to play in as many places and just keep developing ourselves as much as possible. London had a vibrant scene of jazz. Um,
history, isn't it? Very rich history, particularly the black side of music, because
a lot of jazz musicians and just people generally don't realize that jazz has got a serious and clear foundational history in England as well, because a lot of those musicians came like I was saying, came over. The 100 Club is a place that lots of people you came to and played as well.
Hendrix was first seen by what's his name, the guitarist from Queen. What's his name? The blues, world famous blues guitarist. Uh, began in Cream, and then Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton and some of those other UK blues guys. I remember a documentary when they said it was either the 101 or 100 Club where they first saw Hendrix on stage
Yeah.
at a jam session, and some of them
Mm.
felt like retiring, putting down, their hanging up their instruments,
Yeah,
and
when they heard him play.
when they heard him play because they thought
Yeah.
they were playing the tradition until they heard this this dude straight over from the States, what I mean, straight out of the army doing his thing, and then they were introduced to him, and friendships were formed, from what I understand.
The great Courtney Pine put out a group called the Jazz Warriors, and they were it was an orchestra of musicians that literally reshaped
Becoming a musician and picking up the bass. My brother took me to the Fridge Bar, the Fridge in Brixton, opposite St Matthews, which is reopened now as something else. It's still a music venue. So my brother took me there. There was an R&B band opening. The place was almost empty. I didn't know why I was there. I was just trailing along, and then I knew there was this orchestra that was on afterwards. Knew nothing about jazz. Knew nothing about jazz players. Then the R&B band finished, and the Jazz Warriors.
yeah.
A fucking coach, and
Yeah.
what's going on here? So
Yeah.
for a couple of hours, I was captivated. The next day, that's when I started researching music. By the end of the week, I had gone and bought my first generic bass and
By
sold
the
my.
end of the week, Owen, by the end of the week, by the end of the week, can you hear me?
For life.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
By the end of the
yeah, yeah,
week,
yeah. End of the
you're
week.
not pissing, you're not messing about, big man. But so you saw
No,
you
no,
saw
no,
those
no.
guys. Let me get this right. Hold on. You saw the
Yeah,
Jazz Warriors performing in the Fridge, which is a huge
first time.
venue, right?
Penny. Yeah,
And there
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
many people there because that was their early
No.
days, and there was about
But the
probably
thing
about
is,
15. Let me finish. Let me finish. There's about
honestly,
15 bands, 15 people or something in that band. Courtney Pine, who's a
melody on
legendary,
percussion.
absolutely
Yeah,
off the hook saxophone player, okay, put together the band and probably was just like growing the band and getting them out there early on, and then
Gary Crosby,
you came, and then you came and saw it, and then by the end of the next week you got yourself a
I,
double bass or a bass.
I saw myself as a bass player, electric bass.
Listen, man,
Yeah,
that is a story.
that's how
That
much it really.
is
That's how much it really
that
changed.
that is a story. And the thing is, talk about drawn to it like a magnet. You see, this is
Like
what
on
life is
self.
about. This is what life is about, bruv. And the thing is that, the rest is history, because from then you've gone and you've grown and developed and grown large and become a bass player, a renowned bass player. And you play double bass, big upright one, and you play the electric bass as well, and you've been.
You're
Yeah.
freezing a bit, but no, yeah, 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 yeah,
Is
yeah.
my
Come back.
is my talk is my Could you still hear what I was saying though?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah. It's a bit of latency, but no, it didn't affect the audio. It's just
Okay,
visual.
so the thing is
But to all the
that,
viewers, you can hear it loud and
well,
clear.
all the viewers need to know that, what you just did there is an amazing, amazing thing, because, that is like dedication. And it's like, when you it's funny, what was it the other day? I think it was last night or the night before. I was saying, when you know something is real, right? When you hear something and you know that it's real,
Yeah,
you just tend to feel it. You feel that it's
it's like
real.
non-verbal. It's
Yeah,
non-verbal.
it's
It gets inside you somehow.
yeah,
It's
and
not intellectual.
talk about magnetism, man. I mean, you just heard it and you said, you know what? I love that. You did the research and you just went
I
and
was
got a
like this
bass,
all
bam,
night.
and then you then obviously,
What,
yeah,
I couldn't take my eyes off the stage. I'm like, what is this? Why have I
yeah,
never seen this before? I didn't know
yeah,
black people. I didn't know black youngsters. I didn't know it was possible that they could be making that kind of music on stage, doing an activity like that. All I knew in the black culture was sound systems and reggae music and MCing.
right.
That's all I knew of. That was the height of black expressive cultural creative expression in the UK. I didn't know about jazz
Amazing,
music and anything like that. Yeah,
amazing, amazing story.
I thought it
I
was old
didn't know
people's
that.
music. Jazz. Yeah, I thought jazz was old people's music. I didn't think you'll see young men on stage
Yeah,
like
very young
getting
at
this
the time.
emotion and energy.
As
Like where
teenagers at the time.
they've got they're expressing like a hood vibe on stage, but this is jazz music. That I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah,
was possible. Yeah, so there was no turning back.
incredible. And people, you can check out the Jazz Warriors. Yeah, there's Jazz Warriors. There's one called Tomorrow's Warriors as well,
That's
which
what
both of
Gary Crosby is like.
Owen and myself have been part of. All right, but start off with the Jazz Warriors from the
They were the things.
1980s, and it was at least 15 to 20 piece band of all black
Still,
musicians,
that's what
mostly
they say.
90% black
90%,
musicians,
90%.
and
Afro
then
Caribbean.
and I don't like to use the word Afro because I've never heard of
Oh,
no
sorry,
place
sorry,
called
sorry.
Afro, but it's all right. Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
But African and Caribbean
yeah,
heritage. Yeah,
yeah, most
yeah.
definitely. And
You have
Courtney
to be clear.
Pine
You're right. You have to be clear with
and
words.
the great Courtney Pine was way ahead of his time in actually being able to do that and
Pioneer.
find the right musicians to be able to do it as well. So they did several albums, probably about 4 albums. You would know the details of
Well,
that.
I know that he told me a story once where when I saw them playing in the where was it, the borderline, yeah, over there on Charing Cross Road. Nice small venue, but could hold quite a few people. And before they went on, I had a conversation because I looked up to those guys as well. You know what I mean? It's like I would just eat their words when they would share knowledge. And he was telling me how he found Gary Crosby as his first bass player when he started the Jazz
Who,
Warriors. And
Courtney?
I was like, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And Gary Crosby, OB now, has went on to form many institutions, organizations, and give many
He's a
young jazz musicians
celebrity now.
opportunities. Yeah, he's passed that baton on to multiple generations. So the Tomorrow's Warriors, Julie Dexter's just been touring over here
Yeah.
in recent weeks. She was, like myself and Daniel, the first phase of the group. What it is, it's just phenomenal how they've managed to keep it going generations on. Probably like over 25 years they've kept that band, and now it's an orchestra. It's a large orchestra from what I understand. So I think you've got children of some of the people who were in the band decades ago now also in the
Bro,
band.
there's
That's
children
keeping
of
the legacy
children.
going.
That's how long it's been. There's children of
It's
children.
amazing.
There's 3 generations going on there. So yeah, we are the people that were around and that took part in the history and in the historic change and movement of the name genre is jazz, but we cover the entire we covered the whole spectrum. Courtney did many numbers that and also his own music, which touched on the reggae vibe from his heritage. But it's reggae
Yeah.
jazz. There's Caribbean jazz. There's African jazz. There's hip hop jazz. There's soul jazz. There's funk jazz. There's jazz funk. There's everything, and yeah, America had to actually stand up and listen to what we were doing over here. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Became a, he was one of the people who
once they actually even
crossed,
believed that we
yeah,
were
crossed that barrier.
capable and,
Credible.
and legible.
Capable. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because as far as they were concerned, it was all from America. But yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, so
Very,
much
very,
history
very
went down.
interesting. Yeah, yeah. It was, seeds were sown and that have grown onto like some very sturdy, sturdy trees now. And it's
Yeah.
interesting how the thing has evolved because if you slide over to mainstream music now and you look at like the early drum bass in UK garage era. So I remember I've only been to the States once, and I went over there with Lady Miss Here to do a drum and bass tour. She came over here to do a UK drum and bass album with UK producers, and she put together a band to go and do a summer tour. So what it was, yeah, summer festival tour, and what it was around that era, I noticed that the UK was also starting to get recognition for doing our own, flavor of urban music
Yes.
via the or vis-a-vis how they describe it, the UK garage and drum and bass. It's like something that was coming out of the UK, and I look at the drum and bass and say the generations of the youngsters who grew up to listening to lovers rock and their parents' reggae records that they brought over from Jamaica and the Caribbean and flipped on sofa. It's like when you listen to those first drum and bass tracks, they had breaks of the tunes that we grew up dancing to and listening to. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So the next generation took a piece of it with sampling, the piece that was relevant to their statement in culture, and they moved it on to something else. And
Moved
now
it on.
it's just, we're somewhere completely different from the analog days.
I
Very interesting.
love crossover. I love mixing genres of music. I was saying that to an agent friend of mine called Paul Cherry, and it's one of the greatest things that continues to develop the same music that we think is stuck. It just develops and takes it to another level when you start mixing it. And
Yes, certainly.
I was part of a band, an orchestra called Grand Union, and
I remember, I remember you doing some work. You mentioned the name. I remember some time ago. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and
Did
and
you do some
they
scores or something?
they do they do music right across the board. That is all. Oh, they'll do like a classical piece that will have reggae in it. They'll do a reggae piece that has Chinese influence in it. They'll mix Indian with a Caribbean with a soca. They'll mix Indian with a raga or they Grand Union Orchestra. Okay, they're all getting on now. They're all in their 50s, 60s, and so on and so forth. They've done untold amounts of music, which has gone almost like I don't know how many people actually even know or have heard of the Grand Union. But I'll tell you something, man. I've toured all over the world with that. Not all over the world. I did and they have contributed a deep, deep amount of mix and blending music because it's called the Grand Union, which is basically every type of instrument. I mean,
A union of
I've played with the Chinese. Oh, I forgot the name of it. I've played
Indian
with
guitar player, the
sitar
long one,
players,
Chinese string instrument, the big one.
accordion players, obviously saxophone, bass, keyboard, all those type of different instruments,
Yeah.
and done some amazing gigs, really beautiful, mind-blowing gigs. And Tony Haynes, which is the band leader, he's passed now, um,
Okay.
has made a major, major contribution to music in general right across the world just from putting that group together. Yeah, I got to play with Courtney Pine once. For actually twice when he was performing when he put together something to play in a youth center
Yeah.
somewhere
Yeah,
and
we
yeah,
used
that
to
was
do a lot
great.
of youth related work with S'mores Warriors. That's one thing I like about that group. Besides the Jazz Cafe residency for about 3+ years over
Yeah,
In Camden when it first opened up, then we moved to the Rhythmic for a year in Islington, then back to the Jazz Cafe. It's like
yep,
it gave a lot of young musicians somewhere where they can show up in the afternoon on Sunday, hear jazz music, see other young musicians on stage to show them like what I saw with the Jazz Warriors that look, you could do this too. And then also, it was somewhere where people could just meet up and interact, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And network and, whatever, creative area they're coming from or non creative. It was a spot where people can meet up with other creatives and just vibe. So that was, that
yeah.
contribution is really something.
And the Jazz Warriors, which is different from the Jazz from tomorrow's Warriors, okay, which is a group that Jason Yard, again, a very extremely high level, prolific jazz musician, composer, songwriter, composer, um, band leader. Yeah, he did everything, and he's still with us, and he's doing some great work. Yeah, and he's put together then some orchestras, and one group is called Acoustic Bombastic. Yeah. Or what he calls acoustic bombastic. Yeah, he's done some absolutely amazing things. You need to look out for him. His name is Jason Yard, and yeah.
Wind things in slightly because I'm going to be ducking out now and disappearing to some dark part of London in a moment. Um, like we touched on this theme, and I'm so glad we did because I didn't even think we'll be able to get in and out of it in a short amount of time because it can expand into such a look. We talk music like some people talk football and sports. We can go on and on till somebody turns the microphone off. So what I'd like to is there anyone we from then or now or wherever we can shout out before we end the close the stream or anything, any band names, any band leaders, any artists, anything music related you want to shout out on your end before we wrap up tonight.
Musicians, as far as like the music as far as the history is concerned, but if you're talking new people,
UK, European, African, Caribbean, anyone you just think you want to put out there before we wrap up to end to outro the live. Now we're on this music theme.
Soweto Kinch.
Oh, I met him
Okay.
the Islington Rhythmic. So I remember Gary introduced me when he just came down from Birmingham. He had just left school. I was introduced to his mum, and that was basically, I guess, like my experience was the Fridge, seeing the Jazz Warriors. His probably was the Tomorrow's Warriors, and yeah, for him there was no looking back. Again, that's another one of Gary Crosby's doings, opening the door and giving opportunities.
She's a really great, beautiful saxophone, young, talented female on the scene, and she's kicking it out. And they've also got a group of pure females as well in there. These sisters are kicking out some beautiful new jazz.
Daniel Crosby, drummer, who I spent many years next to on stage during the Tomorrow's Warriors era, who still plays. I think he played recently with Julie Dexter in her band. So I like to give a shout out to. I think Daniel goes by the name Judy. Judy. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong, but I'll still refer to him as Daniel Crosby. Also, Masingi, aka Brian Edwards, phenomenal tenor player. Marcina Arnold. If you go back far enough, you'll remember her from Quite Sane. That other massive fusion group from back in the day. She's released an album a few months back. So, you can find that out there in the metaverse. Arnold, phenomenal jazz, soul, and singer in whatever genre you want to look at. I can't think of. Okay, look, big shout out to the just the whole reggae heritage because for me that was the foundation that my feet stood on before I was introduced to other forms of music. I'm sure there's people on the pan side, Daniel. You want to call out in the last couple of minutes, and anybody. Oh, I think Daniel is frozen for the moment. We'll see if we can get him back. If not, I may have to close out the show, and you just have to. Oh yeah, he's we've lost Daniel, which is unfortunate, but we had him for the main part of the live stream, and I just want to say thank you for spending a bit of time again with Daniel and myself on these #01 streams. We're doing them Monday to Friday, and we might do an impromptu one on one of the weekend days. But we're going to cover many subjects. what's going on in Africa, innovation, what's going on sometimes around the globe, definitely what's going on in the UK, our urban culture, and what we're doing in music, and what we see from our eyes and ears going on around us in music. So again, big shout out to Dan Keck, aka Daniel Louis, hand player, and I guess from myself, only I can here at CornerSpeak, gonna draw another daily lives to a close. As I usually say, be good, be safe, be creative if you can. On behalf of Dan Keck, Daniel Louis, and Mia Diamonds, he's out. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, big up to the urban peoples. And myself and CornerSpeak and Mia Diamonds, for now, we are. Oh, he's gonna come back to say his buys. I think, see if we can get him in quickly enough. All right, see if this is gonna. Yeah, Daniel, I've just done my goodbyes, so it's over to you. Couple
Yeah,
seconds, be your farewells, and we're out.
yeah, no problem. Listen, blessed and love to everybody. Yeah, that brought back some memories and stuff like that. We've got a lot more to talk about. We just touched a tip on the tip of what we've got to offer musically. So yeah, I'm sure Owen's done the outro, and just to keep things moving. Yeah, love and blessings to you all.
We out, we out, we out. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I hear. The golden chick, the crown. Yeah, the golden, the crown, and the book. I hope you win. I hope you win. We out, we out, we out.
All right,
Daniel,
love.
catch you later, yeah? Peace and
Take
love.
care, big man. Love, man, every time.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.